I'm Jessie Heredia, and you're listening to Soul Care for the New Mom, a podcast designed with new moms in mind, where we talk about what it looks like to thrive in motherhood as the free, confident, joy-filled women God has called us to be. I am so excited about today's episode because I had the opportunity to chat with Audrey Bailey, who you might know as the creator behind Brush and Barley. Now, I first found Audrey and I first found Brush and Barley through Instagram, right when her page was just sort of exploding from these Enneagram graphics that she was making and designing, and just all of the affirmations and the beautiful artwork that she was creating and posting on her Instagram. And maybe this is how you found her as well. Well, I had her come onto the podcast today to talk to us about the heart and backstory behind Brush and Barley, and kind of the story of how it's exploded and how even this explosion has just shaped her motherhood journey, shaped her creative journey, and also shaped her faith. So if you are at all familiar with Audrey Bailey and her work, or if you are brand new, I am so excited for you to get to listen to the encouragement and the wisdom that she has to share. Now, before we dive into today's episode, I just want to say that if you are encouraged or inspired by what you hear today, I would love for you to share this with your friends. So take a screenshot of this episode and tag me in your Instagram stories at Soul Care for the New Mom, because I just love hearing that you guys are listening, and that is always such a huge encouragement to me. Speaking of encouragement, I just want to read a quick iTunes review to you guys. This one is from Jay Lonk, and it says, "I am so thankful to have found this podcast. I'm in the thick of parenting 3 little ones, and my soul has been tired and weary. This is refreshing, encouraging, relatable, and just what I need in this season of life. I highly recommend this podcast if you need to be filled up and need encouragement as a mom." Wow, thank you. So if you haven't left a review, I would so love if you would do that. It really does help more women find the podcast, and it's also just a huge encouragement to me. So if you haven't already, I would love it if you would just leave that quick rating and review in iTunes or your Apple Podcast app. Thank you guys. Now, on to today's conversation with Audrey. Hey Audrey, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on here today.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so before we really dive in, I just want to say that, okay, I found you probably how a lot of people have been finding you these days, which
Yeah.
is on Instagram, and I know we're going to get into all of that. But I really wanted to have you on the podcast because, first of all, your art is beautiful. I mean, it really does speak for itself, but also, secondly, I love the message behind what you're sharing. I love the things that you're saying. I love just your heart for the Lord even, and just how that shines through your art, and through what you're making. And also, I'm a big fan of the Enneagram, so you completely
Yeah.
hooked me on there. So anyway, I know that we're gonna get into all of that, but before we do, can you just go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, maybe just what this season of life looks like for you right now, what your family looks like right now, and then maybe a little bit about Brush and Barley and the backstory behind it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for your kind words. This is still really new to me, but well, right now I'm just working from home. I have a almost 4-year-old daughter named Elena. She's in pre-K now, and then I have a 1-year-old son named Emerson, and he just turned a year. And then my husband. Um, Season of life is kind of crazy because it has become insanely exciting, but insanely busy since my page blew up. But tons of more blessings, way more blessings that have happened over like me getting used to things. So right now it's just finding the new norm. I'm finding out what I want to do with my business and what I maybe want to leave behind. And we're just getting ready for my husband to be deployed and just taking it day by day right now.
Yeah. Is your husband in the military?
Well, he was in the Marines for 4 years, active
Okay.
duty, and he got out and then he joined Navy Reserves. So
Really?
he's actually a
Okay.
reservist going on deployment.
Really? Do you know for
Yeah.
how long? Can you say?
Well, he's going to be gone over a total of like 10 months, but he won't be deployed that long. He has to go to California to do like the workups and stuff since he's not an active duty sailor.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. Would you say that maybe one of the blessings of Brush and Barley is the way that it will maybe help you get through that time of your husband being away? I don't know. Is that a weird
Oh no.
statement
Oh
or
yes, definitely. Like me and my husband talk about this all the time that like it's so insane how God stepped in and when it happened. And now I like look back because I've had this business for 4 years and I
Mm,
completely see why he was like building things up and the way they were and how this could not have come at a better time. We're
yeah.
always, me and my husband are just always in awe with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit about Brush and Barley. Like, what is it? What made you decide to create it? What's your heart behind it? And sort of like, what does it look like now these days?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, it's completely different. But when we first got married almost 5 years ago, I knew I wanted to. We moved to California. I'm from Arkansas. We moved to California because that's where he was stationed. And I knew I didn't want to work. Like, I worked in retail and stuff, but I just knew always I wanted to be my own boss.
Mm.
And so I started this, and originally it was called Just Peachy Artistry. And that was for a good 2 years. And I just did acrylic paintings and sold them on Etsy. So just paints and canvas, and that's pretty much all I did. And then my daughter was actually a honeymoon baby. So we found out we were pregnant like right after we got married. So that
Wow.
kind of encouraged me more to be able to work from home and take advantage of my husband being in the military and being able to explore because I knew that I wanted to stay home with her. And then we moved back, I think in 2017, and he got out of the military. My daughter was almost 2. And I wasn't quite in love with the name Just Peachy Artistry. So I started like thinking of rebranding. It took me like months. I knew I wanted it to be something with my faith. So I would write names in the Bible and write scriptures I liked. And then I came across the scripture, how Jesus fed multitudes with barley loaves and fishes. And
Oh, okay.
barley just stuck out to me and like the whole meaning behind that and providing and that. So then I thought brush because at the time I was a sole like watercolor painter. And so that's how Brush and Barley came together. And I've been in love with it ever since. It just felt right. And
Yeah.
then I got a little bit more into the digital side in 2017 when I got my iPad Pro. And that's kind of led to where we are now. I've slowly stepped out of the watercolor um, stationary side and I'm dipping more into the graphic design,
Mm,
affirmations, stuff like that
yeah.
since
Do
then.
do you miss the watercolor or like which do you like more, if you're
I
being
do
honest?
miss the watercolor. I actually like went and bought a bunch of watercolor stuff like just like a week ago and it's been sitting there because I'm kind of like I don't know where to start. But I think I'm going to bring it back in some way because I do think a lot of people would like to see that side.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'll do anything with it business wise, but I definitely want to make sure I don't lose that part of me because I believe it's one of the biggest reasons I'm good at what I do now.
Yeah, for sure. I heard you just mention affirmations. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what do affirmations mean for you, and like, what kind of got you into it?
Well, if I go to the root of it, I have a long line of and mental illness in my family. My brother is actually schizoaffective and bipolar, and he lived with us all my life. He was about 14 when I was born, and he lived with my parents up until like 2 months ago. He just moved out, so he was like a big part of my life growing up. And then after I had my daughter, my first baby, I had really bad postpartum depression,
Mm,
and that kind of brought me into um, looking more into mental illness because I struggled with it all throughout high school and I was in therapy for it and I was on medication in high school, but I don't think people will ever understand postpartum depression and until they go through it and it's like on a whole different spectrum to me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what really pushed me into looking more into it. But I always kept that to myself until earlier this year when I finally shared a little bit about it. And I couldn't believe the overwhelming amount of support I got of how many people felt exactly like I did. And that's what kind of kept pushing me into posting affirmations because of how people were responding to them. And I could tell people were really reacting to them and they were actually doing a purpose instead of just artwork on an Instagram feed.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that that sort of vulnerability really is it's admirable, but I think it's also like that's something that God curates in us, you know? Like that's something that he loves too.
Yes.
And I can just already see like how it's blessing others, how it's being used as a testimony of him, and of how he's, you know, shaped you and grown you. I want to dive in a little bit into the faith aspect of your creative journey and just sort of like how has your creative journey shaped your faith, or how has your faith shaped your creative journey? I mean, it could be either or. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, as cliche as it sounds, me and my husband were both raised in religious homes. We were both raised in very non denominational homes. But when we got married, we did struggle finding the, not that we didn't want to go to church, but finding that groove. And like we were in a new place. And I think there's this stereotype that church is like, it's scary to like go to church for the first time somewhere, or it's scary to put yourself out there. So we did put it off for a few years. And then recently, as cliche as it sounds, when we started going to church and finding our church, making connections, worshiping, praying together, tithing, everything, I swear that's when everything just started falling into place. And I could
Mm,
clearly see what I wanted my path to be, what I wanted this business to turn into. I found myself more eager to speak about my mental illness because not only do I have mental illness, but I have really bad, like, I should say stage fright, but like with everything. And like I have really bad anxiety. But as cliche as it sounds, like the more I fell into God, the more He took that away.
wow.
And
Yeah.
it's just I'm a different person than I was even 6 months ago because of it. And I solely
Yeah.
believe it's because we've centered everything around Him finally. Even though He was always in our life and we always believed in Him, it's different to completely accept Him into your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say just from the outside looking in that these past 6 months have probably been very overwhelming in a good way, hopefully, with
Yes.
just
But
all the
yeah,
massive growth that's been happening.
it's me and my husband are just like we're always talking about how like it's it's so crazy because everything really falls together when you do give it to God. Like
Hmm.
it's just it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me the story of, I don't know if there's like a specific day or like a specific week, but like tell me if you can walk me through like what happened, like what was the scenario, what were the posts that you put out that immediately got all that attention? Just maybe just walk me through that and like what you were thinking or feeling as it was
Oh
happening.
gosh. Well, I noticed my page started getting like a little more. Well, I was getting more likes on. I could tell when I posted like the mental illness affirmations or the graphics. I could tell people were responding to those more.
On
And this was
Instagram.
yes, and I probably started this in like May, I think, with the mental illness post. I believe because May is no, or March, because March is the mental illness month, and I think that was my first real post about it. But and then I was thinking I should introduce myself on my page because I got like 200 followers at the time, and I was like, oh, 200 new followers, and this was when I was like at 3,500.
Hmm.
Um, so I was like, I was thinking about doing another intro on my page, and I was looking into the Enneagram, and I didn't really know a lot about it. So I just found my number, which ended up not being my real number. But
Oh, that's
um,
funny.
Because it's such a different experience to like go through it and then just like take your test.
Yeah.
But so I thought, oh, I'll make a graphic to like explain what my Enneagram is and kind of like do it as an intro to like new followers. And I sat on this idea for a good 3 weeks. And I didn't know if I was going to do it. Thought it was kind of silly. And then I just made it, and people responded so like crazy. They were asking if I was going to do a whole collection. And honestly, at first I was like, I kind of don't want to because I don't know a lot about the Enneagram. But they just kept coming in. And then I don't remember, I could probably go and find the day, but I just remember it was like a week after my son's first birthday. And they were just coming in, and I was almost to 4,000. And I told my husband they were just coming in like crazy. And he's so sweet, but in the nicest way possible. He was just saying, like, well, it'll probably like plateau. He was like, just don't get, he was just like, don't get too worked up about it. He was like, they'll probably plateau. And he meant that in the most sincere way possible. But I hit 4K, and I had this huge 4K giveaway because I thought that was like it. Like, I was like, oh, I hit 4K. And I these next few days are just a blur because I just can't believe it. But I was getting like 10,000 followers a day.
Oh
I
my
remember
gosh.
counting. Like, I
Yeah.
would look at my number in the morning, and then by that night I would have another 10,000. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they were just, I just can't even, like, looking back on it, it's so crazy because my husband was even like, oh my gosh, like he couldn't fathom what was happening. And then I kept saying, oh, well, when it hits 20, it'll slow down. And then it went past 20, and people were just freaking out over the Enneagram. But then I think they were staying for the reason behind the page.
Yeah.
So I think the Enneagram brought them there, but then people started sticking around when they realized that it was a safe place to talk about mental illness intertwined with faith. And I think that's really why it blew up the way it did.
Yeah. I love that. And like what were you sort of thinking or feeling as you're watching this explosion happen?
I don't even like remember, except that it literally, as cliche as it sounds, it felt like a dream. And like I could just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I didn't give up on this. That's all I could think was like,
Mm,
thank you to Jesus, like thank you for not letting me give up. And then like all looking back at like the years, um, because I was like, oh, my business is really successful. And then God was just like, oh, you have no idea. Like, it's just crazy the amount of, but I think me having such a slow beginning helped me be humble where I am now. And I think it kind of gave me more of a level head during the process, other than I really do think that if this would have happened like right when I started my business, I may have it may I may have been acting a little differently, and it may have maybe gone to my head a little bit more than me just this happening to me after 4 years of owning this little business, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it does. That's a really interesting observation. Yeah. Real quick, what is your Enneagram number? If you found out so what was the one that you thought you were, and then what is the one that you believe you are now?
I thought I was a 6, which is the loyalist, which is
Hmm.
basically, which I still do have a lot of their qualities, and I'm actually a 4, but 4s and 6s are very commonly mistyped because they have a bunch of similarities. They both struggle with anxiety. Um, but I read the book A Road Back to You. I can't remember the author's name, but it's one of the biggest. It's a bestseller, I believe, in the Enneagram world. But that made me realize definitely I'm a 4 with a strong 5 wing, which is the same exact as my mom. So that's kind of cool.
That is cool. I'm a 4 as well. I think I did know that you were a 4. And I'm a 4 as well, and I it's so just it's such an interesting number to be.
It is. I'm
That's how
glad
I
I'm a
feel
4
about it.
because after I made the 6 and then I was making the 4 for the collection, I was hardcore doubting myself. I was like, "Oh, I think I'm a 4," because I was, like, making it. I was like, "This sounds way too much like me."
Yeah, I don't wanna stay too long on the subject of the Enneagram, although I do love it, but I do wanna ask, do you feel like, since you've learned that you're a 4 and you've been kind of learning more about that, do you feel like you notice even the ways that being a 4 affects the way that you parent, like the way that you experience motherhood?
Oh, yes, definitely. And that's funny you said that because I just saw a post before our call on Instagram about 4s as parents
Oh,
that a
really? What
friend
did
of
it
mine
say?
her name's Enneagram Ashton on, Instagram, but she does all these Enneagram, like, references, and it says for 4s, we encourage uniqueness, we compare ourselves to other parents,
Mm,
we want our children to like stand out in their own way. We promote creativity and we are slow to anger,
mm.
which I feel like I have some type of 8 in me though, sometimes with parenting. But I don't know if it's because my husband's part 8, so it like feeds off me. But sometimes I feel more like the mean parent over my husband. But I think it's because
Uh,
he's a 7. So he's always the good.
oh, is
Yeah.
he a 7? My husband's a 7 too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's a 7 with a 8 wing. He
Oh,
is
that is so funny.
we're so
Oh my
opposite, but
goodness.
it's good. It's good,
Yes,
but
it yeah, there's do you find like you're sort of the emotions of the household and he's sort of the I don't know, maybe like the fun or like this like the
yes.
stability of the household in a way?
Yes, like, it sometimes upsets me when I'm emotional about something, and he's like, "It's okay." Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's so, like I'm like, "How can you say that? I'm over
Yeah.
here freaking out." Or, like,
Yeah.
I give him like, for how much grace he gives me when I'm upset, like, I look back after that, after our conversation, sometimes I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like, I'm blessed because he just, like, looks at
Mhm.
me like, "Oh, she's having one of her moments, she'll be fine," and then he moves on.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like my husband, he just has such a way of keeping me grounded when I would rather, like, wallow in whatever I'm
Mhm.
feeling in the moment, and he's sort of like, "Hey, we don't have to stay here, like,
Yes.
we can move on, we can reset our day, whatever it is that you're hoping or looking for, like, we can just do it," and and sometimes
Yes,
I just
exactly.
need that. Yeah. Yeah, but I love all those points about how, being a 4, it shapes motherhood. I resonate with a lot of that. Maybe not so much the the anger part, 'cause I've had my fair share of struggles with anger for sure. But I think maybe that's where the anxiety piece even comes in. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. So going back to this growth in your business, what would you say to the listener who maybe she has some sort of creative gift or a passion or a business that she's pursuing and this dream? How would you encourage her if she's not seeing the results that she's hoping for or she's not understanding the purpose behind her passion just yet? What kind of words of encouragement would you offer her?
I would definitely say to go for it no matter what, but
Mm,
also to as hard as it is, you can't be spend good time that you could be experimenting or self-reflecting, comparing yourself to others. I think that is one of the biggest reasons a lot of people do not go for what they really want because especially in this day and age, there's comparisons everywhere. And I feel like there's a stereotype that there's not enough room for all the creatives, especially on Instagram, but there really is. There's not even my little corner of the internet is not even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the amazing makers out there, no matter the following amount. And I think also people starting out, I've even been guilty of this. They look at the followers as like the goal. Like, oh,
mm,
if I get this many
yeah.
followers, things will be better. And I'm first to tell you that even though with all these followers, I still have rougher days than before I had 3,000 followers. Like, yes,
Right.
it
Yeah.
has blessed me in a lot of ways, but if I don't have that core motivation, or if I don't come back to self-reflection and knowing who I am, the followers really are not going to drive the rest of my business. And
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
people need to really just know why they're doing what they do and not care if they're not getting likes right away or follows. Because if you're being genuine and you're being authentic in what you're doing, no matter what, they will come to you. The people that are supposed to be your people will come to you, and you'll be so glad that you have people who love what you do. That's the one thing that I'm so blessed with and I won't ever get over, is that I'm at a part of my life where I can create solely from my heart and people are still going to love it. And
Yeah.
I think some people, like, I don't want people to think they have to cater to what's popular or what's on trend right now to get followers, because then you're going to really hate what you're doing and you're going to eventually resent it. So I think even if it's a slower start, being authentic in yourself and sharing something you're passionate about will bring the people that you truly want to be behind you and want to support you in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like what you say about you have to stay with, what your true passion, what your true motivation is, because that is what will help fuel you and keep you going forward. And
Mhm.
And I'm thinking back to earlier in our conversation when we talked about your husband being deployed and you having this to invest in while he's away. I feel like it's just so amazing how God orchestrates things like that because,
Mhm.
it's because you pursued a passion that you have that form of self-care, or you have that
Yes.
that way to find fulfillment through it. I'm wondering, like, how do you balance it all? And I hate using the word balance sometimes because, it's such a weird word, but how do you find ways to manage your time wisely because you're still home with your kids and they're still so young, and I'm sure, they're at this age where there's a lot of demands or there's a lot of busyness. So like
Mhm.
what are some things that you do to maybe keep managing time wisely and not getting too burnt out?
Well, I'm going to be honest up front, is this is one of my biggest struggles. And I think it is because the four in me, I often compare myself to ones, like, I admire them so much because, like, I don't know if this is a four thing, but, like, I want so badly to be organized and I want so badly to time block or just be more conscious of my time, but my
Mhm.
brain just doesn't work that way, and I'm just, like, scattered all the time. So this is something I work on and I struggle with so much because my kids are at a young age, so my daughter's in pre-K now, so that helps. She goes 5 days a week. But my son, being a year old, God bless him, but he's a handful, and he's at the age where he's just go, go, go.
He is so precious. When I watch your Insta
Thank you.
stories, I'm just
He's
like, "Oh
he's
my goodness."
amazing. He's a mama's boy.
I love it.
So it's nap time or all night when I work. And I think, not that I don't find balance, but it works for right now. Um my husband is very good at letting me do my own thing and knowing when I need a break, but I know he's not going to be here for a little bit. So I think at the end of the day, though, I need to know when to take a break and not
Yeah.
worry about my DMs, not worry about the orders I have or what I need to get done. But I need to listen to myself when I need to take a break. And then that's like a refresher for me. I've been trying to get better at, like, having set hours or taking more of the weekends off so I can come back with a fresh mind. And it seems like little things, but I think, especially for me and how my brain works, if I don't sweat the small things, that'll help me be more productive in the long
Yeah.
run.
Yeah, definitely. Did I see that you have a YouTube channel in the works?
Yes, I do. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's gonna launch this month. Hopefully next week. I have my first video recorded and edited. I'm slowly working on the intro, which is so tedious, but it's just one of those things like I can't not take my time on the intro because that's like it may be a little part, but to me it's like one of the one of the more important parts.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'm just asking, because you mentioned that you're fitting your work into nap time and into bedtime. So I was wondering how on earth are you doing YouTube videos?
Oh, well, Emerson makes a great appearance in my first video because
Does
he woke
he?
up. Yes.
I
I
love
am
that.
contemplating getting him like maybe some part-time daycare. I think we are because I just don't think there's any way around it at this point with how
Hmm.
much stuff I need to do. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to get him into either a Mother's Day out program or just some part-time daycare where he can go 2 to 3 days a week just to let me completely. But one thing my husband, I can't believe I forgot this, he actually put in his notice today. So he's going to be home for a good month or two before he leaves.
Wow. Yeah.
So he said he's ready to be the stay-at-home dad.
Oh, that is
So
amazing. That is
I'm going to
seriously
get
amazing.
spoiled and then he's going to leave, but
Yeah, true.
it'll
Very true.
it'll help. It'll help for now.
Very true. What are besides, doing your art and making your art, what other things do you do for self-care or for soul care these days?
I love watching TV shows. That's probably will forever being my like guilty pleasure.
Amen to
Um
that.
I
What
love
are you
real
watching right now?
well, I watch Friends and Gilmore Girls on repeat, but
Okay. Love
I
it.
love reality shows. So,
Oh,
like one of my
really? Okay.
yes, oh my gosh, it's so bad, but they're so cringy, but I love Vanderpump Rules. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I
It's a
have not.
it's a Bravo show.
Okay.
It's drama. I think me watching that makes me feel better
Oh,
about
that is funny.
my life, even though I know it's all scripted. But I love reality shows. My husband and I love watching movies, but one thing is I love scary movies and he does not. So it's a constant like argument when it's movie
That
night.
is funny. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that one of the biggest things I miss before having kids is going to the movies. It's like
Mm.
one of my biggest stress relievers because and especially now with kids, because it's so quiet and nobody's talking to me for like 2 hours, that it's like I don't have any, and my mind's not like on work because I'm focused on something else that I think is just my guilty pleasure. And it actually really helps when I take time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Um, One more question. Actually, I have two more questions. First, what is God kind of teaching you lately in the season that you're in?
I think he's definitely teaching me patience um, because this has been a crazy experience and I'm having to relearn to do things. Also with um, constructive criticism or like some of the hardships that do come with a lot of followers.
Oh, do you get constructive criticism?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it's something that that has been more of the harder things because I'm a four. So I cry easily. I get very like my feelings hurt. I feel like I read
Yeah.
into things a lot more than other people do. Like other types. I think someone's like out to get me when that may not be their intention at
When
all.
when they're pointing out a typo and then you're
Yeah,
all
oh my
heard about it for the rest of the night.
oh my gosh, it is so bad. Like I have an artist brain like when I sit down. Like I feel like I was very good at English in high school and I was the person that was annoyed when people had typos. But when I'm like sitting down writing, like it's all out the window. Like I make all these typos. I have like two people, my friends that I send proofs to before I post everything.
Oh, that's actually a very smart idea though.
It is. it's just it's a lot, and I know people don't mean to, like, I know if they're not being rude about it, but it's like, to my type, it really hurts my feelings. So that's something that I struggle with. So I think God, though, is helping me let go of some of that, because the more it
Yeah.
happens, the more I'm okay with it. Not that I'm numb to it, but I think it's made me realize, like, it's okay that I feel the way I feel, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna let it bother me, because I'm still living my dream. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, somebody commenting something is not going to change my course or change why I do this.
Yeah. Definitely. I love that. Um, Last question. Where can listeners find you? Your website, social media links, where can they find you at?
So obviously the biggest one that I'm on most of the time is Instagram, and that's just at Brush and Barley. I do have a Facebook, which is just facebook.com/brush and barley. I pretty much post whatever is on Instagram on there. But on Facebook, you can get more of the direct links in post, obviously, because Instagram, sometimes it gets frustrating because you can only have links in certain places.
True.
But YouTube will be coming soon, and that's also Brush and Barley. And then I do have a Pinterest as well, which is Brush and Barley. That has grown so much too. That is insane, and it blows me away. But that has taken off a little bit too.
That is really cool. Well, thank you so much for just sharing your heart, for sharing everything, your story of Brush and Barley, just the backstory behind it, and just kind of what journey you've been on these past few months. I mean, it's kind of wild and it's really fun to watch from the outside. I know it's got to come with all kinds of pressures and stress and craziness, but on this side, it looks really cool. So just
Thank
thank you for
you.
sharing that. Yeah,
Of course. I'm so
definitely.
glad that you reached out.
Yes. All right. Well, I will be sure to link all of your social media, all of your website links in the show notes. And
I can't wait. I'm so thankful you had me.
all right. Well, thank you. We'll chat again soon.
Awesome.